So there's a question that we have to ask ourselves today. Do we have to keep Trump? Do we even have to seat him as the president in this country? That's a real question, because there's even if you claim that he had a landslide victory and he won the popular vote, do we have to let him be president? See, this question is a real question because the system, the way that they have it today, you could elect Hitler or someone worse than Hitler. And then what? You're just going to let him do whatever the hell he wants to do for 4 years until you can try to vote him out of office? Does that really make sense? That we have a system that is so insecure that we could elect a tyrannical, despotic leader in this country, and there would be nothing we could do about it because they claim that he won a democratic election, and that's what the people wanted. Well, come on. Over half the people, you're talking about a 50-50 coin flip election to determine everything about your society and your country, how your country functions, everything, based on a 50-50 coin flip election. That you can elect somebody that over 50% of the people don't want, because he's only gotten a majority of the people who voted, which ain't a majority of all the people. There are 340 million people in the United States. 340 million. That means that he would need 175 million votes to have a majority of all the people. And that's a requirement from Article 2, Section 1 and the 12th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Actually, that's a requirement just to be considered to be the president. Okay? And was that election proper? Now, I'll give it to you that he won the election. Okay? But what relationship did that election have to the election process that is established by Article 2, Section 1 and the 12th Amendment? And I'll challenge you right now to go to Article 2, Section 1 in the 12th Amendment, where the requirements to elect the president are established. And you tell me how what we did on that day, or last Tuesday, qualifies or complies with those requirements. And you won't find it anywhere in there. that election has nothing to do with the process that we're required to use to elect the president. Nothing. And therefore, we don't have to seat him at all. We don't even have to consider the results of that election. And see, this is the problem we have in the United States. The problem we have is that we don't even understand how our government functions or how it's assembled or anything. And we're at a point now where there are no protections. There's no way for us to police the system, and there's no way to enforce standards and requirements that we must go to, that we must follow. We don't have any way of doing any of those things. We don't even have a way to determine if that election that we had last Tuesday was even proper. Don't have no way. Which should be like a no-brainer. Okay? No-brainer. We should have a way of knowing exactly whether or not what they did on Tuesday was proper. Whose responsibility is that? Well, there's one person in our government that is responsible and empowered to make sure that the government is assembled properly and the government is functioning properly. And that's the vice president as the president of the Senate. That's their only job. Now, I know that they don't know that what the vice president was for, or they are feigning ignorance as to what the vice president role is in our governing system. Because it ain't to be second in command. It ain't supposed to be carrying the president's bag. There's nothing for the vice president to do outside of the Senate, ever. In fact, the vice president can't even leave the seat of government during their term of office. Period. Why? Because they are there to sit in recess of Congress, to call Congress into session when their consideration is necessary. Okay? In fact, that's the only reason why we have a president, is to preside over the executive departments so that Congress, the Senate in specific, can recess with the rest of Congress. And if there's a problem, the president transmits that problem to the Senate, and the Senate determines what to do about it. The president has no decision-making responsibilities, doesn't have any policy, any kind of relationship with policy, how it's made, or what policies we have. No leadership, no decision-making, nothing. All that is the United States and Congress assembled, which is the union of the states. They're the sovereign in this. They're the leader. They're the decision maker. Collectively. The union is the states collectively. And there's a legislative process for them to make collective decisions. The president doesn't do anything. Really, Adams complained about the vice president being a boring job. Well, the presidency is just as boring or even more boring because they really don't get to do anything. They can't do anything. And even form an administration. This is the United States of America. The president doesn't form an administration to govern and have a cabinet. What's the cabinet for? President doesn't need any advisors because they don't make any decisions. They don't need a cabinet. All the decisions are made by the states assembled in the Senate as the union, collectively. You don't have one man deciding what we're going to do. And then you got this buffoon, Trump, talking about how he's going to change. What? You can't change anything because the president and all civil officers, state and federal, take an oath to support the Constitution of the United States. And that's the United States in Congress assembled. That's where the union is constituted. Okay? That is the union. And the president swears to support that body and how it's supposed to function. That's what it means. The Constitution of the United States, the document, is only the instructions for how to assemble and operate the government. Okay? No more, no less. And if you don't assemble the government properly as a democracy and as a Republican form of government, then it can't function properly. Okay? And I'm sorry, the parties are not included in that document. Only the states are. So you can't assemble Congress by party affiliation. You can't choose the president by party affiliation. And the other departments, like the Judicial Department, the Supreme Court, can't be assembled by that improperly seated and elected president to determine the composition of the court. Okay, this has far-reaching implications when you don't follow the instructions that you're given. It's like on Christmas when you try to put that damn bike together and you don't look at the instructions and you try to put it together yourself. Oh, I know how to do this. And you end up with pieces left over. Okay? Because you didn't follow the instruction. Especially when something has to happen first before something else can happen. And that's what we're doing right now with this election of the president, where what we did on Tuesday has no relationship to what is supposed to happen in a recipe format where you choose the electors, then the electors vote to form a list of candidates that the states must consider in Congress to determine the choice of the president. Because every state, this is a democracy, every state in the union has a right to have some of their own citizens considered for every office in the government. Every. And that includes the president. How many choices can they make? Well, they can make a number of choices for the whole number of senators and representatives they have in Congress. That's how many choices they can make for president and vice president, who have two so separate roles in our government. Okay, I'm tired now. I'm tired. I know nobody will watch this shit anyway, so thank you for your attention in this matter.